Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've been down, counting out, smiling through the taste of blood in my own mouth. I got bruises and broken bones, but they don't know I ain't in this ring alone. I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, make it righter. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. I'm a fighter. I get back up. That's what I do. I didn't soldier on this far just to lose. So take your shot. Is that all you got? I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm running harder. I was born to be a do-or-dyer. Make it right. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm a fighter. No one can keep me down. They didn't know, but they know now. That I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. Don't cash in that last bet. Don't throw that towel just yet. I'm a fighter.
The president looks over at me, puts the foreign leader on mute and says, "This is not going very well," and he presses the red button. My eyes get really big, and I'm like, "Mr. President, you know, what just happened?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Nuclear." Nuclear. And 2 minutes later, a guy walks in with a Diet Coke, and he looks back at me and he says, "It wasn't nuclear, it's just the Diet Coke button." And that's... So that's the kind of guy, my fellow Republicans, that we have as the President of the United States.
The more they trash him, the more his poll numbers go up. The more they lie and spin their false liberal narrative, the deeper they dive into Trump derangement syndrome, the better the chances that the Democrats will not be back in control for a very, very long time. At least not in my time left on Earth. I'm 63. hope to live up there in age. But the Democrat Party that I once belonged to and was very proud to be a member of was hijacked a long time ago by far left liberals, and they've destroyed it, literally destroyed it. And tonight I will show you another example of just how sad the Democrat Party has become. We'll talk a little in depth about that. And if you're a Democrat out there watching tonight's show, I want you to pay attention to this, because I know that your values don't align with the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. If it does, then, well, I'm sorry for you. That just makes you a traitor to this country like they are, because what they're doing, I don't think you're paying attention to. What they're saying, I don't think you're paying attention to. And I'm talking about the average Democrat out there like I was, who's just trying to put food on the table, take care of their children, go to work every day, live a normal life. They're not for all this left-wing crap the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. and the leadership are spinning out there under the umbrella that it's the entire Democrat Party that feels this way. So you need to start paying attention, Democrats. Before we dive into tonight's show, folks, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. And I want to share some very exciting news, something that I'm thrilled about. I'm very happy about this. I have finally decided which publishing company I was going to go with for my new book. And the manuscript is in their hands. It's going through the editing process, cover layout today. And we're looking at probably a fall 2025 rollout. So in a few months, you'll be able to purchase the book on my website. The publishing company is going to put together a website just for the book that you can buy it from. Obviously, all the places online, Amazon books, all that kind of things. Plus, it'll be going out into the bookstores. And I will also be going out on a book signing tour / meet and greet. For those of you that would like to meet me in person, I'd love to shake your hand, take a selfie with you, whatever you'd like to do, and sign your book personally. So those dates and times will be announced once we get the book out, and it is available for you to buy, and more to come on that. So that's very, very happy news for me. I'm thrilled about that. Okay, so there's some things that are happening right now that are just, it doesn't matter what political party you belong to. This should be very, very upsetting. It should piss you off. So if you're a Democrat out there that's tuning into tonight's show, or even a liberal, I'd really like you to share in the comments about how you feel about what the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. is doing. And tell me if you agree with this. All right? Because I don't think you do. A bill to deport illegal immigrants convicted of driving under the influence, DUI, DWI, netted the support of only 37 House Democrats, with 160 voting to oppose the bill. Now think about that for a moment. We know that the Democrat leadership doesn't have a problem with illegal aliens coming across the border, and that's a crime. They're here illegally. They can go through the proper vetting process. They can go through the proper channels. No, they just crossed the Rio Grande, whatever, got apprehended. Biden let them out, and they're everywhere. We know they don't have a problem with that. We do know that with ICE going and just cracking down and trying to arrest just the bad elements, those that are convicted of murder and rape and child molestation and drug trafficking, the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. are all up in arms about that. They don't like that happening. I can't imagine the average Democrat out there that's just trying to make a living for his family or her family supports that kind of shit, that wants those kind of criminals to be running the streets, right? And then those illegal aliens that kill Americans, which is how you become a member of the angel families. Your loved one was killed by an illegal alien. And many are killed because an illegal alien was drunk and driving and got in a wreck and killed their loved one. Yet 160 Democrats in the House think that's okay. They don't even want them deported for that. Murder, raping women and children, molesting kids, sex predators, trafficking women and children, gang members. The Democrat leadership in Washington, D.C. doesn't want those people deported. So if you're a regular Democrat out there, like I used to be, why are you still in this party? What are you trying to prove? That party left all its moral values behind a long damn time ago. It's a corrupt, horrible organization. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you will be. Moving on. This bill was sponsored by Representative Barry Moore out of Alabama. Now, today's vote in the House sends a clear message, because it was 246 to 160. If you are a guest in this country and you break our laws and put American lives at risk by driving under the influence, there will be consequences, Moore said. The bill is named after Jeremy and Angel Sieg, a couple from Moore's own community who were killed by an illegal alien who was found to have been drinking and driving. It's also named after slain Arizona police officer Brandon Menendez, who was killed by an illegal immigrant found to have been driving under the influence. And 160 Democrats voted against this bill. Democrats who oppose this bill argue it was an attempt at fear-mongering. Fear-mongering. Well, how about you liberal Democrats up in Washington, D.C.? Sit down with an angel family member and tell them to their face it's fear-mongering. Hell, I'll set it up for you. I set them up to come up to Washington, D.C. and meet with you in your office. Hell, I will gather up hundreds of them to meet wherever you want. And you liberal Democrats up in Washington, D.C., you 160 of you, can come in there and listen to their stories and tell them to their face that they're not worthy. And that what Trump's doing is fear-mongering. It's shameful. It's un-American. Once again, proving my point that I've been trying to make for a long time, that the leadership and the Democrat Party support illegal aliens over American citizens, even when the illegal alien has caused death to an American or seriously injured them. Then Representative Mary Gay Scanlon, Democrat, Pennsylvania, said, I participated in the judiciary hearings that led to the bill being sent to the floor, and I carefully reviewed the majority report. There's absolutely no evidence in that hearing or report showing a causal connection between immigration status and drunk driving. And most notably, for all this talk, this legislation takes no real meaningful action to repair our broken immigration system. Madam, you are a liar. You are pathetic. You have no place in our Congress. Author of the bill, Representative Moore, said he was amazed that 160 Democrats would vote against this bill. It just shows that if it comes to anything about holding illegal immigrants accountable, even if it's killing our own people in drunk driving cases, they're against any kind of reforms on immigration. House Democrats' senior leadership are among the 160 who voted against the bill, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat, New York. Why? Come on. If you're a Democrat and you're watching this show tonight, please justify this in the comments. My moderators aren't going to take it down. Explain to us how this is okay. And you can't and you won't, because you know that it's not okay. Only somebody that's got a mental health issue would think that it's okay to vote against a bill like this, or to be against deporting murderers and child molesters, rapists, gang members, violent criminals off our streets that the Democrat Party is all up in arms about up in Washington, D.C. They lost their base a long damn time ago. And thankfully, more and more Democrats are waking up like I did and going, this party, it no longer represents my values. It's no longer represents my morals and my beliefs. It is just become a party of, well, anti-American is the best way of putting it. Sadly, there are many still Democrats that don't pay attention to what's coming out of the Democrat leadership's mouths. They're clueless. And they haven't followed politics in years. And in their mind, the Democrat Party is still based around the JFK era. And they don't realize that it's not. That shit's gone. Left a long, long time ago. And if they would just tune in to shows like mine and others that are all out there that are actually showing you where you can see it. You can see them as they speak and hear them. The Jasmine Crockett's, the Alejandro Mars, the Rashida Tlaibs, the Cory Bookers, the Maxine Waters, and on and on and on. If you actually watch them spewing the hate and the fear-mongering that they actually spew and incitement of violence, then you would realize that what I'm telling you is the facts. Leave that party. Leave it. Get out of it. I'm not saying become a Republican. I don't care if you do or not. But at least have enough belief and morals in your own soul, in your heart, to become an independent. Otherwise, you support this crazy ideology that goes against all of our American values. And that makes you just as evil as they are. Let's see. The House Oversight Committee has started running an investigation. It's happening right now. I've been watching some of it on C-SPAN. To try and come up with a question that many of us have asked. There are a few things that will go down in history or that are in history. They're, the number one questions that the average person asks, such as, is there life after death? All these different religions out there. You know, when we die, is it over with? Is it end there? Do we go someplace else? And then which place do we go to? What the Christians say, what the Muslims say, Hindu, Jehovah Witnesses, you know, everybody believes they have the right way to lead you to salvation. So that's the number one question, because none of us really know. We know what our faith tells us. We know what our religious upbringing tells us. Or if you didn't have any of that and you're an atheist, well, then that too. So that's something that mankind has been asking for, well, since we were able to talk. And the other thing is, are we alone in the universe? Whether you believe in UFOs or UAPs or not, everybody wonders, out of these millions and millions of galaxies that we know exist, are we the only dot out there that's got some kind of life form on it? And what I'm going to tell you adds to that list. And I do believe it will go down in history as one of those things, like life after death. Who was running our country for the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration? Who? We know now that Joe Biden was not mentally all there. And he was not the one making all these decisions. Even with when they did the investigation to the classified documents that he took and stored in his garage and office buildings and things that were totally unsecure, you know, after Trump had done this, although Trump was the president when he did it and he had the authority to declassify it, and then nothing became of that. But Biden had done the same thing, but the Biden-Harris FBI went after Trump. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They got DAs to go try and prosecute Trump for this. And they let Biden off the hook because in the investigation, the investigator said that Joe Biden was just an old, feeble man that had no memory of what was going on and couldn't put together sentences and would just drift off into other areas. And he realized he just wasn't there. You can't prosecute this man for, he doesn't know what he did. But yet he was competent enough to keep running our country, right? That's what they tell us. And we watched all these members around him and people around him said, oh yeah, we watched in the press conferences every day, that nappy-headed bitch get up there and say that, oh, he's the smartest man in this White House. He's completely all there. And now she comes out and writes a book and says, it was all a fucking lie. It was all just smoke and mirrors. And then we watched the mainstream media spin the narrative for the Democrats up in Washington, D.C., that Biden was fully competent. But yet, we, the people, for 4 years, watched him take the stage all across America and babble incoherent things and lies and make up shit. We watched it. And the worst was the last debate that he went up against Trump. That was such an embarrassment. And so we know the facts are there. All right, folks? Joe Biden wasn't the person making these calls. Now, there is something called an auto pen. And the president of the United States has to sign probably, I don't know, 100+ documents a day. Has to put his signature on some kind of piece of paper. So if they're left to have to do that by hand, well, they're going to get carpal tunnel syndrome and they're just not going to be able to write anymore. So they came up with this thing called an auto pen, where they take the president's signature and then it's basically a stamp to go on stuff, to where the normal routine signatures on things going in and out of the White House, he doesn't have to physically sit there and sign them himself. They can just tell him what it is. He can approve it or not approve it. If he approves it, boom, it gets stamped with the auto pen, and that's good enough. And the Supreme Court ruled that that's sufficient. It's okay to use the auto pen. Now, since the inception of the auto pen, when it comes to documents that affect major policies and major decisions in our country, the president signs that with an actual pen using their hand. For two reasons. Number one, it's of very much importance. It's not about whether or not you're going to change the shrubberies out in front of the White House lawn, and to show their commitment to this. And for those very important things, there's like press there, and there's cameras to watch the president sign something in the law, whether it's an executive order or a pardon. And that's what's going across the news media right now. Everybody's covering this. So let's dig a little deeper into this. So the House starts this hearing. All they want to do is get to the bottom of who authorized these auto pen signatures. Because it would appear, when you look at just the pardons, that any reasonable person would not have pardoned some of the people that were pardoned. And you can go on Google and you can look up the list of people that Joe Biden pardoned, and you will see horrible, horrible criminal activity that these people committed. And he pardoned them. Did he really do that? Or is that whoever was running the shit behind the scenes and he didn't know anything about it? I can't not for the life of me imagine that Joe Biden would have been okay with that. I don't think he would have been okay with all these criminals that were pardoned by the use of the auto pen. So I don't think he knew about it. And that's what they're trying to get to the bottom of here. So a former top aide to President Joe Biden said she was authorized to direct the auto pen signatures, but was unaware of who in the president's inner circle was giving her final clearance. According to a source familiar with the aide's closed-door testimony in front of Congress on Tuesday, her name is Neera, Neera Tanden, Tanden. She is the former director of Biden's Domestic Policy Council. She testified for hours on Tuesday during an interview in front of the House Oversight Committee, which is investigating the former president's mental acuity and his use of the automatic signature tool that allowed aides to sign pardons, memos, and other important documents on Biden's behalf. During Tandem's interview before Congress, which lasted more than 5 hours, she told lawmakers that in her role as staff secretary and senior advisor to the former president between 2021 and 2023, she was authorized to direct auto pen signatures on behalf of Joe Biden. She reportedly said during her testimony, and it's going to be released, the actual transcript, that she had limited or no interactions with Biden before the auto pens, she was told, stamp it. She described an approval process that left her, at least partly, in the dark about who specifically was given the final approval on the decisions to use the auto pen. Even though she insisted that, yes, Biden was the president, but it wasn't him saying it's okay for me to do this. She reportedly testified that to get approval for the using of the auto pen signatures, she would actually send decision memos to members of Biden's inner circle. However, she added that she was not aware of what actions or approvals took place between the time she sent the decision memo and the time she received it back with the necessary approval, according to what's coming out of the House. Ms. Tam testified that she had minimal interaction with President Biden, despite wielding tremendous authority of stamping hundreds and thousands of documents. She explained that to obtain approval for auto pen signatures, she would send decision memos to members of the president's inner circle and had no visibility of what occurred between sending the memo and receiving a back of approval. Her testimony raises serious questions about who was really calling the shots in the Biden White House and the president's obvious mental decline. We will continue to pursue the truth of the American people. In addition to Tandem, Biden's former White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connell, will appear for a deposition in front of the House Oversight Committee after being subpoenaed by the committee. The Oversight Committee also plans to hear from Anthony Burnell, who served as senior advisor to former First Lady Jill Biden, Anna Tonzi, who was Biden's former deputy chief of staff, and Ashley Williams, who was the former deputy director of the Oval Office operations under Biden. Oversight Republicans are also seeking interviews with officials who are some of Biden's closest confidants, including former chief of staff Rob Klain and Anna Dunn, a former senior advisor to the president for communications. Now, what does all this mean? What does this mean to we the people going forward? The Supreme Court agrees that the auto pen is something that's can be used. Many courts agreed on that. Republicans even agree on it. But the small print is the president himself has to know what the auto pen is putting a signature on, which is how this comes into play. So this is going to go through the court systems once all these testimonies are over with. And I have no doubt it will make it all the way up to the Supreme Court on whether or not, whatever they uncover in their investigation, if they uncover that Joe Biden did not know the auto pen was being used for all these pardons of career criminals and pre-pardons, meaning that it's been reported that this person or that person did commit a crime, or I believe they committed a crime, and therefore I'm going to give them this preemptive pardon to where during this period of time that they may have committed this crime, they can't be prosecuted for it. That's right. That's where I'm going with this. So if the Supreme Court decides that Biden was not mentally fit, did not know who was pardoned these things, or who was signing off the auto pen, then they're going to decide that the auto pen on those signatures is useless, meaning the pardons are null and void and they go away. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit that that's a long shot. But do I think it's worth going down that rabbit hole? Yes, I do. Because like many of you, I want to know who was making the calls in the White House. because we know it was not that feeble a man. It wasn't. So how does this affect you and I, besides maybe putting these criminals back in the jail again that he pardoned? Well, let's look at those that got a preempted pardon. And first off, you're not going to preemptive pardon someone if there's no crime being committed, or if you believe that there's no evidence that they committed a crime. So why would I even go down this? Why would I do that? But if you have doubt that they committed a crime and you want to cover their ass for them because they're your friend, then you go there. Preempted pardons on the way out the door. Francis W. Biden, James B. Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Hunter Biden, John T. Owens, Valerie Biden Owens. They were pardoned, preempted pardon, for any nonviolent offenses against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through the date of this signed pardon. You with me on this? Anthony Fossey, for any offense against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon, arising from or in any manner related to his service as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, as a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force and the White House COVID-19 response team, and or as chief medical advisor to the president. General Mark Miley, for any offense against the United States, including but not limited to any offense under the United States Code or the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which he may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon, arising from or in any manner related to his service as Chief of Staff of the United States Army or Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And that's because of the withdrawal debacle in Afghanistan. And then the biggest one of them all, as far as I'm concerned, the members of Congress who served on the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, the Select Committee. The staff of the Select Committee is provided by House Resolution 503 of the 117th Congress and the police officers from the DC Metropolitan Police or the U.S. Capitol Police who testify before the Senate Committee for any offense against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in arising from or in any manner related to activities or subject matter of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Those House Democrats are Benny Thompson, Zoe Lundgren, Adam Schiff, Pete Aguilar, Stephanie Murphy, Jamie Raskin, Ellen Laurel, Liz Cheney, Adam Kishner. Why are you giving them a pardon? Because you know what we're already finding out right now. And more to come, which I'll be sharing right here on this show from my sources up in DC and in law enforcement, that there is some really bad shit that Kash Patel, the FBI, is uncovering, and Pambonia, the DOJ, is uncovering about that J6 committee. So if this auto pen gets thrown out as not worth a shit, not worth the paper it's printed on, then guess what? All those people I just listed can be prosecuted because the pardon vanishes. So let's listen to this. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Neera Tanden, the former director of the Domestic Policy Council and the first Biden White House aide to appear before the House Oversight Committee in its investigation of
Let me start it over. Sorry about that.
Neera Tanden, the former director of the Domestic Policy Council and the first Biden White House aide to appear before the House Oversight Committee in its investigation of President Biden's condition and accusations those closest to him covered it up.
I think the American people want to know. I think there's a...
Okay, I'm sorry that it's doing that. It was running fine when I tested it earlier, but if it keeps doing it, then we just stop it.
Committee in its investigation of President Biden's condition and accusations those closest to him covered it up.
I think the American people want to know. I think there's a huge level of curiosity in the press corps with respect to who was actually calling the shots in the Biden administration.
Tanden says she was glad to answer all the committee's questions for several hours behind closed doors. Chairman Comer says Tanden was forthcoming during questioning. Biden aides Anthony Bernal, Ashley Williams, and Annie Tomasini have also agreed to speak with committee staff over the next few weeks. The committee has subpoenaed Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. Democrats say this investigation is a sham.
Republicans trying to dig up some kind of post-impeachment or whatever we're doing here, it is an extraordinary waste of time, and the American people expect and deserve better.
According to the latest Fox News poll, 29% of voters say the Biden White House was honest and transparent about the president's mental fitness. 68% disagree, and that includes 52% of Democrats, though that is within the margin of error. As for what to look into, 52% say it's important Congress investigates Biden's use of the auto pen. 50% say so for his decision-making. 44% say it's important to look into allegations of a cover-up. Now, a source familiar with the interview says Tanden told investigators today that when she was serving as President Biden's staff secretary, she was authorized to direct the use of the auto pen, she says, using a system that she inherited from previous administrations. The source also says that Tanden told investigators that when she was staff secretary, she had minimal interaction with President Biden in these cases and instead largely dealt with his inner circle. Brett?
Rich Jensen, live on.
So basically, somebody was going to her and saying, here, stamp this. Here, stamp this. Here, stamp this. And then when she would send an actual memo or an email asking, are you sure the president authorized this? She'd be told, just stamp it. So more to come on that as this investigation goes on. Again, will these pardons be thrown out? Well, that's going to be up to the Supreme Court because that's exactly where it's headed. And if it is, well, then there are some people that are going to be shitting themselves because they're going to be prosecuted. Remember when Trump started imposing all these tariffs and the stock market started crashing because liberal Democrats up in Washington, D.C. were coming out there saying how horrible things are going to be. Everything's going to go to shit. It's just, he's destroying our economy. All these experts, coming on MSNBC and ABC and CBS and CNN talking about how horrible this is just because Trump wanted fair trade. That's it. That's all he wanted. Either it's equal what we pay in tariffs to what you pay in tariffs, or no tariffs at all. That's just even the playing ground. And there was all this pushback. So he just threw it in there. Bam! Tariffs on everybody of huge amounts. Oh God, he's destroying our country. And then these countries started rushing to Washington, D.C. to sign a deal. Beating the door down because they can't survive without this. It was a very, very bold move by President Donald J. Trump, but damn it if he wasn't spot on correct of what was going to happen if he did this. And he got them to jump through their ass and agree with him that America, we the people, were not being treated fairly. China held out for quite some time, although that's about to change too. They spewed all this nonsense about how the economy is going to be ruined. And the big thing was that none of these companies that are producing their stuff overseas are going to come back to America because it'll cost them billions of dollars to start up manufacturing again. They're not going to do that. Really. Well, once again, they're dead wrong. GE Appliance today said it would spend $490 million to move the production of most of its washing machines from China to Kentucky. Welcome to Kentucky, GE. The operational mark will move the company's massive industrial appliance park headquarters into Louisville, Kentucky, where it already has some manufacturing of washing and dryers going on. At least 800 new full-time jobs are expected to be created, the company said in their news release today. We'll bring laundry production to our global headquarters in Louisville because manufacturing in the U.S. is fundamental to our zero-distance business strategy to make appliances as close as possible to our customers and consumers, said GE Appliance President and CEO Kevin Nolan. The decision is our most recent production reshoring in alliance with the current economy and policies. This production facility will be equivalent to approximately 33 football fields in size. Manufacturing in Louisville puts production closer to our designers, engineers, and consumers so that together we can create our most innovative laundry platforms, said the vice president of GE. And it also means that they don't have to pay tariffs. The move is expected to be completed by 2027. And Kentucky is welcoming them with open arms because they need the $3.5 billion investment and the 8,000 jobs that will be created. Well, Doug, that's just one company. That's just one. Those major corporations they're not gonna come back to America. They're not gonna, Trump's wrong. It's not gonna happen. Really. Apple ramping up production within the U.S., specifically for its MacBooks and iPhones. The company aims to reduce reliance on overseas manufacturing in China, which has been impacted by tariffs. By bringing its production back home, Apple hopes to cut costs and improve supply chain efficiency. The move will create thousands of new jobs and opportunities in the tech manufacturing sector. Intel making a significant investment in the U.S. with plans to construct major semiconductor facilities in Ohio and Arizona. This move is part of Intel's strategic strengthening and domestic production capabilities. By establishing these facilities, Intel aims to enhance its supply chain reliability and reduce dependence on international semiconductor sources. China. TSMC, which is a Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company, is planning a massive $100 billion investment for multiple chip plants in the United States. This endeavor is aimed at expanding their global footprint and mitigating the impact of international trade barriers. The U.S. plants will not only help domestic demands, but also strengthen their competitive edge in the semiconductor industry. These facilities will be excellent to boost the U.S. economy and the job market. Samsung Electronics will produce more appliances and chips within the U.S. than anywhere else they've done in the past. The company is motivated by the need to minimize tariff-related costs and improve supply chain efficiency. By increasing its U.S. production, Samsung aims to offer more competitive pricing and produce products adapted to the American market, which will create thousands of new jobs. LG Electronics is going to take its production, which is in Mexico, and move it back to America. The U.S. company's decision is influenced by increasing tariff pressures and the need for a more aligned product framework. Their move back to America will be a massive improvement to our economy and people getting jobs. Ford, that makes the automobile and trucks, is expanding its U.S. electric vehicle production and battery facilities. This initiative is part of Ford's commitment to innovation and sustainability in the automobile industry by increasing domestic EV manufacturing. Ford seeks to reduce its carbon footprint while meeting growing consumer demand for eco-friendly vehicles, because they know that producing them in China is doing nothing but, there's no EPA there. They're polluting the shit out of everything. This is going to be great for America's economy and create thousands of new jobs. General Motors, GM, is going to invest domestic electric vehicle manufacturing as well. This move is driven by the company's vision to lead the transition of all electric vehicles. By bolstering its U.S. production capabilities, GM aims to ensure a robust supply chain for its EV lineup. This investment will also help GM achieve its sustainability targets and adapt to changing consumer preferences, and will create thousands of jobs in America. Hyundai Steel will be constructing a $5.8 billion steel plant in Louisiana. This investment reflects their strategy to capitalize on the U.S. market's growth and reduce dependency on international steel supply. The new plant will employ cutting-edge technology to produce high-quality steel for various industries, including automotive and construction. By establishing this facility, Hyundai Steel aims to meet rising demand and contribute to the U.S. economy through job creations and innovation in steel manufacturing process. Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion in 4 new U.S. pharmaceutical plants. This major investment is aimed at expanding the company's production capabilities and enhancing its global competitiveness and get away from having to pay tariffs. They will create thousands of new jobs and help boost our economy. Whirlpool is growing its U.S. appliance production to offset import tariffs. The company's decision is driven by the need to remain competitive and responsive to consumer demands by boosting domestic manufacturing. This will create thousands of new jobs in America and boost our economy. GE Appliances, same thing. Rolls-Royce engines for aircraft jets, same thing. Ashley Furniture, no longer making their shit in China or Mexico. bringing everything back here to America. And multi-companies are still putting big money into the U.S. economy. Johnson & Johnson announced manufacturing, research and development, and technology investments of more than $55 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years. They say it represents 25% increase in investment compared to the previous 4 years under Joe Biden, because they were making all this shit overseas. SoftBank CEO Masani Son visited Trump's Mar-a-Lago and announced a $100 billion investment over the next 4 years with a promise to create 100,000 jobs focusing on AI and related infrastructure. And that was also on MSNBC and CNN. United Arab Emirates, after a meeting with Trump, United Arabs committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion agreement with the U.S. that will sustain existing investments in AI infrastructure, semiconductors, energy, and American manufacturing. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is the giant in that field, announced that in response to Trump's tariffs threat on foreign ships, that it would invest $100 billion into the U.S. operations. The anticipated new chip fabrication plants, 2 advanced packaging facilities, a new research and design center will increase the company's total investment in Phoenix, Arizona to $165 billion, the largest foreign direct investment in U.S. history. And in January of this year, Trump announced a $500 billion private investment from Oracle as well as SoftBank. Apple's $500 billion investment. Then Nevada today at the White House announced chip maker would invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years in a U.S.-based manufacturing operation that they're going to put up. This is all in comparison to Biden's administration that created only 700,000 new manufacturing jobs and only $910 billion in private manufacturing investments, and that's according to the Commerce Department. Trump derangement system, just drop it, folks. None of the shit that you're saying is real. It's all fake news. And the worst of it is CNN and MSNBC and on social media platforms like YouTube, where there are literally thousands of far left liberals that sit there and do what I do, for instance, except they have Trump derangement syndrome and they spin lies and they say things that are not true and not real. They're doing what's called fear mongering. There's only one set of facts, not two. And day by day, those of us that bring you the facts will go down in history as the ones that had merit compared to the rest that have no merit. My friends, I don't know what you're going to be doing this weekend, but I hope whatever it is, you're safe. I hope that you take care of your family, watch yourself. We know that we have in this country of ours sleeper cells of terrorists, especially those that were sent over here from Iran, that the FBI and Department of Justice are actively trying to apprehend and get them off the streets before they kill us. And they will strike. It's not if, it's when. Sadly, some of them are going to pull this off. And the brave men and women of law enforcement out there every day are trying to stop it. And they need your help. They need we the people to step up. If you see something, say something. If you think something's not right, maybe you work at a hardware store, or hell, you're just a checker at Walmart, and you see somebody come by buying some things that just don't add up, maybe contact your local law enforcement, because they might be up to something like building something that goes boom. And in the past, that's how we've stopped some of this, because somebody saw something that just didn't add up. Be safe this weekend. If something breaks of major importance, I will either put out a video about it, or I will put out or I'll do a live show. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. I will be having, excuse me, I will have tomorrow a new video that'll be posted. It's only a few minutes long. That's really cool, about a 4-star general that recently retired, and he flew many, many different aircraft, but he's ending his career in the F-22. And the company that produced this, I spoke with them, and they've agreed to allow me to share it with you all, in hopes that you will also go to their YouTube channel and help support them. They put together a wonderful, wonderful little clip that I'm going to bring to you all so you can see it. And then I hope that you will also look in the description of the video and go look at some of the other stuff they have out there, because you're doing one hell of a great job, and they can use our support. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless each and every one of you. Take care, my friends. Have a wonderful and blessed night.